Will Smith. And I guess my question to you is, are we not making a big enough deal of the season he's having? I mean, he's on the verge of potentially winning the batting title as a catcher. And I don't know the historical context. I know it hasn't been done in recent history. I don't know how many years, but are we not making it sounds like we, the media, I guess I'm part of the media now because I'm no longer a player, but should we be making a bigger deal of it?
No, I mean, I made this exact point to Will at the All-Star game because I wrote about how his season's gone overlooked. And I said, I think even from us, we've kind of, missed exactly how good you've been this year because he has. This is a guy who, especially the last couple years, was dealing with injuries, did not have very good second halves to the season. And there were some questions about, was he going to get back to being this top-of-the-line offensive catcher that it looked like he was going to be early in his career. And this year, it's been pretty simple for him. He said, he's healthy. He's been able to stay fresh. That he's kind of teetering right on that line of having enough qualified or enough plate appearances to be a qualified hitter because they have been managing his workload a little bit more. And he's just found something with his swing that he said has been repeatable, for basically the entire season. This is a guy who's always had kind of a simple, compact, repeatable motion. He struggled getting to fastballs the last couple of years while he was dealing with some injury stuff. But now that he's healthy again, he can cover all parts of the plate so well. He has such a good eye. He might not hit 30 home runs. He's not going to have a Cal Raleigh kind of season. He's not going to have a Shohei Ohtani kind of season in terms of, some of the top line numbers. But in terms of someone who's been a consistent, productive, top of the line hitter, especially for a lineup that lately has needed that kind of consistent production. There's few guys I think that have been more valuable to their teams than Will Smith, especially when you layer on what he's done behind the plate and managing a pitching staff that's used to 40 different pitchers this year. So I think even within the Dodgers this year, he's gone a little bit overlooked, but he's going to be someone at the end of the year that, it'd probably be a surprise if he doesn't win the batting title right now, and is probably going to be getting some MVP votes too.
You talk about getting some guys back, pitching, right? The starting rotation. And I don't know if he's going to be in a starting role or a bullpen role, but where is Roki Sasaki right now in his journey back to helping the Dodgers, like you said, trying to win another World Series title?
He's in a throwing program. He's supposed to do a 3-inning live BP at the end of this week, after which he could go out on a rehab assignment. And the hope is that he'll be back as a starter maybe near the end of this month, early in September. In terms of a longer-term role, it's going to be open-ended. Dave Roberts put it this way, just saying, when we go into October, we're going to take the 13 best arms we have. If Roki Sasaki's one of them, whether it's to help fill out the rotation or maybe serve in a bullpen role, he'll be part of that group. And if he's not, he won't be. And that's going to be the big question for Roki. Assuming he can come back healthy, he can get through a rehab assignment without any more setbacks. It's how does he look? His fastball was only sitting around 96 at the start of the year. That's a pitch that's supposed to be closer to 100 and kind of needs to be closer to 100 because it's just a little bit flatter and easier to hit, and opponents were able to square it up a lot early in the season. Can he locate his splitter a little bit better? It's a really good pitch. It's got, even Dodger teammates have lauded, just how tough it is to pick up in the box and the kind of movement he gets on it. But if he can't throw it for strikes, it becomes easier to lay off. And then he's tried to add a two-seamer too, which I think is something that's just an interesting development for a guy who clearly at this stage of his career is trying to figure out, okay, how does my stuff play in the big leagues? What do I need to do to get big league hitters out? He struggled with that while being primarily a fastball splitter guy at the start of the season with a few sliders mixed in. So I think it's a good sign of growth that he's willing to embrace, trying out a two-seamer, trying something new, and seeing if it gives him a little bit more success when he does come back this year as the Dodgers try to figure out if he's somebody that they can trust in a postseason environment.
Well, somebody I know they can trust, and I continue to say there's no stat for character, but there's also no stat for moxie, right? How important is it, and has it been to get Max Muny back in that lineup? We saw him hit, 2 homers Tuesday night and in a struggling lineup. How, just important is his energy and him being that lineup? How much does it mean to this Dodgers team?
Yeah, there's obviously everything he does with the bat and the ability to work good at bats and supply some power and get on base and make things happen. But, Dave Roberts described it as just the presence of having him and the lineup, especially with how well he was hitting before he got hurt, with what he looked like on Tuesday with the 2 home run game. There's something about, especially for a team that's been struggling, just knowing that they have that one extra guy in the lineup who can help make something happen, that one extra guy that lengthens things out a little bit, who can deliver a big swing. And then when he does, just kind of raise the confidence and the energy around the team. And I think that's what you've seen from Max Muncy, maybe more than any other player outside of Shohei Ohtani this year, which is when Muncy's hot and he's hitting big home runs and he's getting on base and he's making things happen. The Dodgers have been really good. They were the highest scoring offense in baseball before he got hurt. And then they were the lowest scoring offense in baseball during the 25 games he missed. That's not all because of him. There's some other factors that went into that, other guys struggling while he was out. But a stat like that really underlines how important he's been, not just with what he's been able to produce, but also just the way his presence in the lineup can change a little bit what the Dodgers are able to do offensively.
That sounds like a fun case on his side when they have another contract discussion. I think he usually signs like the 2-year extensions. He could just be like, I'm going to play this clip from Jack Harris on Foul Territory on August 7th. And you guys make the offer the way you want to make it. And I want to be here, right?
He's picking the wrong year to do this ahead of a team option next year, I'm afraid. But
that's true.
It's going to be
a no. Tack it on though.
Hey, they do a lot of
haven't they been doing that? They tack on an extra year or two, something like that. Yep.
Dodgers are the one team that I feel like have done some really good faith deals and taking care of guys.
Kershaw. That's right.
Yeah.
That's true.
Well, I think it's funny we're sitting here. I think it's funny we're sitting here talking about the Dodgers as if they're not playing well, where they're not a good team. They still have the best record in the NL. It's just that expectation they've created for themselves, the Dodger brand. We expect them to never lose.
Yeah, and I think that is kind of like the story of this year so far, is that for all that's gone wrong, they are still in a good position here. It's just about, can they show that kind of that higher level version of themselves down the stretch if they're going to try to defend a World Series.
Okay, one last one before you go then. With that said, what are they hoping the rotation looks like going into October? Like, what are they hoping? Injuries and everything involved. What do they say, best case scenario, this is our starting rotation going into the playoffs? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, in an ideal world, in some order, it's Yamamoto, Snell, Glasnow, and then whatever you're getting out of Ohtani, which at this point, could be 5 or 6 innings at least one time in a playoff series, maybe a couple if you try to put them in a game 1 and a game 5 or something like that. So assuming they stay healthy, I think that's the biggest difference about how this team might look the rest of the year compared to how it's been up to this point, is that the starting pitching should be better, should be healthy, should be a lot closer to what they envisioned coming into the year. And if they get that, I think it takes care of a lot of the other problems that they've had. But then again, they've had a lot of years, the last few seasons, where they expected to have a certain amount of productive and trustworthy guys in their rotation and then got to October and didn't. So as long as that group stays healthy and productive, I think they're going to be okay, and I think they're going to look a lot closer to the 100-plus win team we expected to see this year. But that still is a little bit of an if as they try to navigate these last 2 months.
What's up, Dodgers Nation? Victor here, your late-night, caffeine-charged, stat-checking, ride-or-die Dodgers fan. And I've got a juicy one for you today. You know how the offseason always feels like a chess game? Well, the Cardinals might have just put their queen on the board. And the Dodgers were looking right at her. Word is, St. Louis is seriously considering cutting ties with Nolan Arenado. Yes, that Nolan Arenado. And you better believe Andrew Friedman's got his phone out, ready to pounce. Imagine it. Gold glove defense at third, a veteran bat in the middle of the order, replacing Max Muncy, and doing it all in Dodger blue. Sounds insane. Let's talk about why this isn't just a dream. It's actually in play. So here's the situation. The Cardinals have been trying to move Arenado since last offseason. The problem? His massive contract and his no-trade clause. He even blocked a trade to the Astros in December. But here's the twist. His contract was front-loaded. He's making $32 million this year, but that drops to $27 million in 2026 and just $15 million in 2027. And get this, the Rockies are covering $5 million of his 2026 salary, so suddenly the financial hit isn't nearly as scary as it was before. Arenado's not the same MVP candidate he once was, but he's still a rock at third base. This season he's striking out just 9.9% of the time, the lowest of his career, and has shifted to a more contact-oriented approach. He's proving he can adapt as his raw power declines. Now, let's connect the dots. Max Muncy's future with the Dodgers is, let's say, uncertain. When healthy, he brings pop, but his defense at third is a liability, and we've seen streaky production at the plate. Arenado, even past his prime, is still an elite defender. He's won 10 consecutive Gold Gloves from 2013 to 2022. Imagine pairing him with Mookie Betts on the infield. That's a pitcher's dream right there. Offensively, while his OPS isn't in the 900s anymore, he's still driving in runs and putting the ball in play. And you know what that means in October. A guy who doesn't strike out in big spots is worth his weight in gold. Plus, he's a Southern California guy. Grew up in Lake Forest, drafted out of El Toro High School. You don't think putting on a Dodgers jersey would mean something to him? Oh, it would. Here's where it gets interesting. The Cardinals want to move him, not just to save money, but to open a spot for younger talent. And with Kyle Bloom now running their baseball operations, they might be more aggressive in cutting salary. That means they could be willing to eat a chunk of the contract to make a deal work. And the Dodgers, we have the farm system depth to send them a couple of promising prospects without touching our top tier guys like Dalton Rushing or Josue DePaula. Arenado's no trade clause? Look, he blocked Houston, but LA. His hometown, a perennial contender. I'd bet my Chavez Ravine garlic fries he'd at least think long and hard before saying no. If this happens, opening day 2026 could look like a mix of power, contact, and elite defense that would make us dangerous in every single inning. And think about the postseason. Late in games with a 1-run lead, knowing you've got Arenado vacuuming up everything at third. That's championship insurance. Sure, there's risk. He's 34 next year and his power numbers have dipped. But if the Cardinals are paying part of the contract and you're getting a Gold Glove caliber defender with October experience, that's a gamble you take. The upside? You stabilize third base for the next couple of years, improve your defense dramatically, and add a contact bat that complements our power hitters. Dodgers Nation, this could be one of those sneaky offseason moves that pays off big time. So I'm asking you, would you replace Muncy with Arenado? Do you think his glove and contact bat outweigh the drop in power? And be honest, how weird would it feel to see another Rockies Cardinals legend wearing Dodger blue? Hit the comments, smash that like button if you're ready for Arenado diving plays at third in LA, and don't forget to subscribe. If this rumor heats up, I'll be here breaking down every update. This is Victor from latest Los Angeles Dodgers news, signing off. Let's go Dodgers!